If you are a SaaS founder and you don't know these three metrics like the back of your hand, you're either flying blind or straight into a wall. Now, I'm not going to sit here and give you a fluffy MBA lecture. I'm talking about the three numbers that will tell you exactly where your growth is, where it's going, and what to fix before it's too late. I've worked with SaaS founders from 500K ARR all the way to companies valued at over 10 million. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that most of them are flying blind because they're not tracking the right metrics. Now, let's get into the first metric, NRR, or Net Revenue Retention. If you only tracked one metric for the rest of your career, this is the one, because NRR is the combined effect of MRR, churn, expansion, and contraction. So as you can see here, the formula is starting MRR minus contraction MRR minus churn plus expansion divided by starting MRR, and then times 100, then you get the percentage. It basically tells you whether your current customers are making you more money or less money over time, and you obviously want it to go up each month. And so you can see an example of a group of customers here and the difference in the recurring revenue of that group. So the green one is retained, then you have the churn, contraction, and expansion. And here's the thing, if you're tracking NRR, you're also tracking all the metrics that feed into it. And that's the reason why I like this metric so much, because you can scale all you want by getting new customers, but what happens if you stop getting customers? Are they all gonna churn? Are they upselling? Are they downselling? Are they churning? Are they staying? Like, what exactly would happen if you flatlined in terms of growth of new customers? And this tells you exactly that, which is why it's so powerful. Now, metric 2. LTV to CAC ratio. You've probably heard this before, but it's super important because you can grow revenue at 100% and still be broke if you're spending $2 to get $1 out. This ratio basically tells you whether your growth is sustainable. And so the formula is lifetime value of the customer and then divide that by customer acquisition cost. You should always aim for being over a 3-to-1 ratio. And you need to make sure that your customer acquisition cost is accurately tracked. That means not just, ad spend, but also salaries, tools, commissions, all your acquisition costs related to getting that customer. And then the last one, metric number 3. And 99% of founders screw this one up. Your number one input metric. You can't just be tracking the outputs because you can't optimize for outputs only by looking at those outputs, because what drives those outputs are input metrics. And so you have to find the number one input metric that directly correlates to revenue. You should obviously be tracking a lot of input metrics, but find the number one input metric that drives the most revenue. And that should be your holy grail. So an exercise you can do is create a metric map tree. So you start at the top, you have a revenue here at the top, and then you have a bunch of output metrics, and then you go deeper and you maybe have more output metrics or input metrics, and keep going until you just no longer can go further. So an example of this is, let's say one path is booked demos and the other is downloaded lead magnet, as an example. If we go down further than that, booked demos could possibly be correlated to cold email sent. And then we could also go down even further and have leads uploaded to the cold email sending platform, and then possibly even further, And so once you've mapped out your entire metric tree, find the one path that directly correlates to the most revenue. Let's say 75% of your revenue comes from cold emails. Then obviously you want to be tracking the inputs you have on cold email, whether that be just the cold email sent or leads uploaded, or maybe it's cold calls or whatever. But let's say 75% of your revenue comes from organic content, then obviously you want to go down this road and have content posted or even go further down on that. So as I said, that last most controllable action, that's your real input metric. Basically your earliest lever you can pull that directly affects the revenue. Another example is if you're running on affiliates, maybe it's numbers of new partners signed. It varies for every company, but you only get there by mapping it out yourself. Why it matters? Like I said, if you're only tracking outputs, it's too late, because what you put in, you get out. The earliest controllable action predicts growth, and focus on what your team can actually do today. Now, of course, there are way more metrics out there that you should and could be tracking, like you see on here, for example. You can pause the screen, but I just wanted to give you the 3 most important ones, in my opinion, if you could only track 3. And here's the thing, tracking these isn't just a Google Sheet that you update whenever you remember or want. You need them in a live dashboard, updated automatically, visible to your whole team every single week. Because what gets measured gets managed, and what doesn't gets ignored until it's too late. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to hit me up and pay me premium money to do all this for you, to put your systems in place, track your metrics, run the one meeting that will scale your company while you focus on growth, although you could do that. Instead, what you can do is spend the next 3 to 6 months trying to build this out yourself, messing it up a few times, and then eventually maybe getting it right. Or if you just want to skip the pain and see if we can shortcut this together, I'll leave my calendar link in the description down below. No hard sell, we'll just see if there's a fit. Either way, if you want to do this yourself or get my help, I have YouTube videos where I go over exactly what it is I do and what I would do if you became my client. So definitely go check those out or just book a call down below. Thanks so much. Ciao.